I stood by him when no one else would. When the headlines screamed his name and strangers spat on the sidewalk as we passed, I still believed in him. I sat beside him in that cold courtroom, my hand clutching his, my heart telling me the man I loved could never be capable of what they accused him of. I was wrong. Daniel and I had been together for 5 years when he was arrested. We had built a life together, a home filled with laughter, wine-stained date nights, and quiet Sunday mornings. I had seen his gentle side, the way he helped our elderly neighbor with her groceries, how he left notes for me hidden in the pages of my books. So when officers arrived at our door and took him away in handcuffs, I refused to believe it. They said he was part of a financial fraud ring, millions stolen through shell companies, with countless victims, many elderly. I told myself it had to be a mistake. He was probably caught in the middle. Someone must have used his name. I clung to that idea as the trial began. Every day I sat in court, watching the man I loved sit calmly, sometimes even confidently. The defense painted him as a scapegoat, a brilliant analyst who had been misled by others. I believed it, until the cracks began to show. First, it was the hidden phone, discovered in a storage unit I never knew existed. Then came the emails, cold, calculated exchanges with names I had never heard. The timelines did not match the stories he had told me, but still I fought the doubts. I even testified on his behalf, swearing he was a good man, that I knew him better than anyone. Then came the breaking point. A former colleague testified, not just about the fraud, but about Daniel's manipulation, how he charmed, lied, and used people until they served no purpose. He spoke of other women, secret accounts, lies wrapped in affection. My heart stopped when the prosecutor played a voicemail Daniel had left one of them, a voice so loving, so familiar, telling her everything he once told me. After that day, I confronted him, not in anger but with heartbreak. In a quiet room at the jail, I asked him to tell me the truth. He smiled, that same smile he used to disarm me, and said I was being emotional, that I was tired, that I was imagining things. The gaslighting was so subtle, so smooth, I almost believed him again. Almost. But the truth had already taken root. I began to look back, at all the small moments I once dismissed. The missing time, the excuses, the way he always had just the right thing to say. I started digging on my own, rereading messages, revisiting conversations, speaking with people he had kept me away from. And then, one afternoon, long after the verdict had been read, guilty on multiple counts, I found the letter. Had no return address, just my name. It was from a woman named Celeste, who had worked with Daniel years before I ever met him. She wrote of hidden investigations, buried scandals, and a moment when Daniel, drunk and arrogant, said he could make anyone believe anything. That he never loved a woman who did not serve a purpose. She enclosed proof, documents, signatures, and I finally saw him for who he really was. The betrayal nearly broke me. I had built my identity around being his partner, his defender, his believer. But as I stepped away from him, I began to find myself again. I moved to a quiet town by the coast. I started writing, first in private journals, then on a blog that slowly gained readers, people who had been used, manipulated, discarded. I still think about him, but not with love. I think of him like a storm, destructive, powerful, but gone now. I survived it, and now I speak the truth. I no longer apologize for being loyal. I do not blame myself for loving deeply, but I will never give that love to someone unworthy again. The man I defended never truly existed, but the woman who rose from that heartbreak, she is real, and she is finally free.